Welcome back. We were discussing about EDLC. In the last video, I have given an introduction of EDLC, that is what is EDLC, why EDLC, and the three objectives of EDLC. Now in this video, you will learn the different phases of EDLC. So first of all, we should know what is meant by a model. So the life cycle of a product development is commonly referred to as models. Okay, so model defines the various phases involved in the life cycle of a product. Okay, so the various phases involved in the life cycle of a product is called a model. So a typical simple product contains 5 minimal phases like requirement analysis, design, development and test, deployment and maintenance. Okay. So, and the number of phases involved in EDLC model, it depends on the complexity of the product. Okay. So, based on the complexity of the product, the number of phases may vary. Now, so this figure shows the classic embedded product development life cycle model, that is EDLC model. So here you can see in the figure it contains different phases like need, conceptualization, analysis, design, development and testing, deployment, support, upgrades and finally retirement. Okay, so need phase, conceptualization phase, analysis, design, development and testing, deployment, support phase, upgrade phase and finally retirement phase. So these are the phases of a classic embedded product development life cycle. So now we will see each phase in detail. So first phase is need phase. So any embedded product evolves as an output of a need. Okay, so this need may come from various sources, like this need may come from an individual, it may come from public, it may come from a company. Okay, so this need for a product may come from individual, from public or from company. So based on this need, a document is created that is called statement of need or concept proposal. Okay, so the document created based on the needs that come from different sources is called statement of need or concept proposal. So this concept proposal must be reviewed by the senior management and funding agency and should get necessary approval. So once the proposal gets approval, it goes to a product development team. Okay, so that is the procedure. Now the product development need can be can come from three different can be of three different types. Okay, so the product development need can be, it can be new or custom product development, or it can be for a product re-engineering, and it can be for product maintenance. Okay, so the need can be for new or custom product development, product re-engineering or product maintenance. So first one is new or custom product development. So the need for a product which does not exist in the market or a product which acts as a competitor to an existing product in the current market will lead to the development of a completely new product. So new product or custom product. New product means it does not exist in the market, and custom product means it already exists in the market, but we have to develop or we have to add some features to that product. Okay, so example for an embedded product which acts as a competitor in the current market is mobile handset, which is going to be developed by a new company apart from the existing manufacturer. And for example for a custom product is a PDA, tailored for any specific need. That is an example for custom product. So a new mobile handset, that can be considered as a new product, and a PDA that designed for a specific need, that can be considered as a custom need or custom product. Then the product development need can be for product re-engineering. So what is re-engineering? Re-engineering a product is the process of making changes in an existing product design and launching it as a new version. So it's we know that it's generally termed as product upgrade. Okay, so the question is, what demands this re-engineering? Okay, so three things are the first one is change in business environment or business requirements, and second one is user interface enhancements, and third one is technology upgrades. Okay, so three things, that is change in business requirements, user interface enhancements, and technology upgrades. These three things may result in product re-engineering. And third one is product maintenance. So product maintenance need deals with providing technical support to the end user for an existing product in the market. So the maintenance request may come as a result of product non-functioning or failure. So, and this product maintenance, we can divide this product maintenance into two. One is corrective maintenance and second one is preventive maintenance or scheduled maintenance. Okay, so what is corrective maintenance? Corrective maintenance means it is done once the product is failed. Okay, so this corrective maintenance is done after a product is failed and to repair that product. Okay, and what about preventive maintenance? Preventive maintenance is done, it's called scheduled maintenance, so it is done to avoid the failure or non-functioning of the product. Okay, so it's done to avoid the failure. And corrective maintenance, in corrective maintenance, the device is already failed and we are doing corrective maintenance to repair it. Okay, so product maintenance, product re-engineering, new or custom product development. Okay, so the product development need can be any of these three. So the second phase is conceptualization phase. So conceptualization is the product concept development phase, and it begins immediately after a concept proposal which is created in the need phase is formally approved. Okay, so here in the figure you can see the different activities involved in the conceptualization phase. So main activities are planning and analysis and estimation. Okay, so two activities, planning and analysis and estimation. So the planning activity includes planning for next phases, resource planning, risk management and planning. Okay, so the planning activity covers various plans required for the product development. So first one is planning for next phases. The plan and schedule for executing the next phases following the conceptualization are included in this one. Okay, then second one is resource planning. What is resource planning? How many resources should work on the project? Okay, that is meant by resource planning. Third one is risk management planning. Okay, so the technical and other kinds of risk involved in the work and what are the mitigation plans, etc., are covered in risk management plans. So these three things comes under planning activities. Second one is analysis and estimation activity. Okay, so this one, analysis and estimation. So under these three things are the one is feasibility study, cost benefit analysis, CBA, and product scope. So feasibility study examines the need for the product carefully and suggests one or more possible solutions to build the need as a product. So feasibility study, it usually analyzes the technical feasibility, that is technical challenges, limitations, etc., as well as it studies the financial feasibility like financial requirements, funding, etc., of the product under consideration. Okay, so feasibility study. Then second one is cost benefit analysis. So cost benefit analysis or CBA, it's a means of assessing the total development cost and profit expected from the product. Okay, so we are identifying, revealing and assessing the total development cost and profit expected from the product. Then third one is product scope. So the product scope deals with what is in scope and what is not in scope. In scope means what all functionalities or tasks are considered by this product or for the product, and what is not in scope. Not in scope means what all functionalities or tasks are not considered for the product. Okay, so this product scope should be documented properly for future reference. Okay, so two activities are involved in the conceptualization phase. One is planning activity and second one is analysis and estimation. Planning involves planning for next phases. Resource planning means how many resources should work on the project, and risk management and planning. And second one, analysis and estimation, include the feasibility study of the project, technical feasibility as well as financial feasibility of the project, cost benefit analysis, how much profit we will get from this, expected from the product, and the scope of the product. Okay, so at the end of conceptualization phase, reports on analysis and study activities and planning activities are submitted to the client or project sponsor for review and approval. Okay, so the executive committee will review the same and will give the green signal to proceed if they are satisfied with this analysis and estimation. So that's about conceptualization phase. The third phase is analysis phase. So requirements analysis phase starts immediately after the document submitted during the conceptualization phase is approved by the client or sponsor of the project. So here you can see the various activities performed during requirement analysis phase. So mainly three activities are there. First one is analyze, articulate and document functional and non-functional requirements. Second one is define the interfaces and prepare interface definition documents. Third one is define test plan and procedure. Okay, so first phase is analysis and documentation. Analyze, articulate and document functional and non-functional requirements. Okay, so this activity consolidates the business needs of the product under deployment and analyzes the purpose of the product. So it addresses various functional aspects and quality attributes of the product. It defines the functional and data requirements and connects the functional requirements with the data requirements. Okay, so the various requirements that needs to be addressed during the requirement analysis phase for a product are: first one is functional requirements or functional capabilities like performance, operational characteristics, etc. Then second one is operational and non-operational quality attributes. Third one is product external interface requirements. Fourth one is data requirements, then user manuals, operational requirements, maintenance requirements and general assumptions. Okay, so these are the requirements that are considered during this analysis and documentation activity. So what is the second phase? Second phase is define the interfaces and prepare interface definition document. Okay, that is the second phase. The embedded product under consideration may be a standalone product or it can be a part of a large distributed system. If it is a part of another system, there should be some interface between the product and the other parts of the distributed system. So even in the case of standalone products, there will be some standard interfaces like serial port, parallel port, etc. as a provision to connect to some other standard interfaces, right? So the interface definition and documentation activity should clearly analyze on the physical interface as well as data exchange through this interface and should document it properly. Okay, so the interfaces, various definition of interfaces should be clearly analyzed and it should be documented properly. Then third phase is third activity is define test plan and procedure. Define the test plan and procedure. Okay, so the various so this defining test plan and procedure activity, this one identifies what kinds of tests are to be performed in order to check whether the product meets all the requirements of the user or client. Okay, so the various types of testing can be performed on a product to check whether it satisfies the functional and non-functional requirements of the product. So the different types of testing are mainly it is of 4 types: unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and user acceptance testing. Okay, so fourth one is user acceptance testing. So unit testing, what is unit testing? Testing each unit or module of the product independently, that is called unit testing. Okay, so we are testing each unit or module of the product independently for the required functionality. Second one is integration testing. So we are integrating modules and test the integrated unit for required functionality. Okay, so we are integrating different modules and the integrated module is tested for its required functionality, that is called integration testing. Third one is system testing, testing all the functional aspects or product requirements of the product after integration. So after integrating all the modules, we test the entire system. Okay, so that is called system testing. So under the system testing, various different other tests are there. One is usability testing. Usability testing, it tests the usability of the product. Okay, load testing means it tests the behavior of the product under different loading conditions. Security testing, it testing the security aspects of the product. Okay, then scalability testing, it tests the scalability aspect of the product, whether the product is scalable or not, or how much scalable the product is. Then sanity testing, that is superficial testing performed to ensure that the product is functioning properly. Smoke testing is the, it is non-exhaustive test to ensure that the crucial requirements for the product are functioning properly. Okay, so it doesn't give importance to finer details, it checks only the crucial requirements of the product. Performance testing is there, it is the performance aspect, all the performance aspect of the product after integration. Last one is endurance testing, it checks the durability of the product. And fourth one is so first one is unit testing, second one integration, third one system, and last one is user acceptance testing, testing the product to ensure that it meets all the requirement of the end user, that is called user acceptance testing. Okay, now so at the end, so here in this figure you can see the 3 different activities. Then at the end, all requirements should be put in a template, and this document is referred to as requirement specification document. Okay, so this one, requirement specification document. So it is also reviewed by the client and informs whether any rework is required or not. Okay, so that's about analysis phase. The next phase is design phase. So product design phase deals with the entire design of the product, taking the requirements into consideration, and it focuses on how the required functionalities can be delivered to the product. Okay, so how the functionalities can be implemented on the product, that is done in design phase. The design phase identifies the application environment and creates an overall architecture for the product. Okay, then the various activities involved in design phase are shown here. So the product design starts with preliminary design. Okay, so the product design starts with this one, preliminary design, or it's also known as high level design. So the preliminary design establishes the top level architecture for the product, lists out various functional blocks required for the product, and defines the input and output for each functional block. Functional block will look like a black box at this design point. Okay, with only inputs and outputs of the block being defined. So in preliminary define, only input and outputs are defined, and the product will look like a black box. Okay, each functional module will look like a black box in preliminary design. So at the end of preliminary design, a document that is called preliminary design document, PDD, is sent for review to the end user or client. So if it is approved, if preliminary design document is approved by the client, the next step is detailed design. Okay, so in detailed design, it generates detailed architecture identifies and lists out the various components for each functional block. Okay, so in preliminary design the functional blocks are considered black boxes, but in detailed design the various components of functional blocks are identified and the interconnection among various functional blocks are identified. The control algorithm requirements etc. are identified in detailed design. So the detailed design also need to be reviewed and get approved by the end user or customer. So a detailed design document is prepared and is sent to the customer for review. Okay, so these are the various activities involved in design phase: preliminary design followed by detailed design. Okay, now here this figure shows the illustration of preliminary design and detailed design. So here for preliminary design you can see the functional blocks look like a black box with only input, output, assumption and constraints. Okay, so here function block 1, function block 2, function block n, all are independent functional block, no communication among them and no components are defined. So only input, output, constraint and assumptions are defined for this functional blocks. So that is preliminary design. Then when comes to detailed design, the first functional block, it is represented as M1, module 1. It contains two components, C1 and C2 are components, C1 and C2, and interconnection of those components are also defined. Also the interconnection between modules, that is functional blocks, are also defined in detailed design. Okay, so apart from input, output, assumptions, constraints, the various components of a functional block as well as the inter-module communication is also defined in detailed design. Now the next fifth phase is development and testing. The development phase transforms the design into a realizable product. For this, the detailed specifications generated during the design phase are translated into hardware and firmware. So during development phase, the installation and setting up of various development tool is performed and the product hardware and firmware is developed using different tools and associated production setup. Okay, so the development activities are of three types, that is embedded hardware development, embedded firmware development and mechanical enclosure design. So first one is embedded hardware development. So embedded hardware development refers to the development of component placement platform like PCB. So it can be done using CAD tools and its fabrication using CAM tools. Embedded firmware development, second one is embedded firmware development. It is performed using the embedded firmware development tools. Third one is mechanical enclosure design. It is performed with CAD tools like SolidWorks and AutoCAD. Then development phase, component procurement is also carried out during this development phase. So the component procurement should be planned well in advance to avoid the possible delay in the product development. Now second phase, okay, this fifth one is development and testing phase. So we have seen the development phase. Now this is testing phase. The testing phase can be divided into independent testing of firmware and hardware. Okay, so that is called unit testing. The firmware and hardware modules are independently tested. So each module is independently tested, that is called unit testing. Then integrating the firmware and hardware and testing the integrated units, that is called integration testing. Third one is the whole system testing for functional non-functional requirements, it's called system testing. And last one is user, of course, user acceptance testing. That is testing of the product against all acceptance criteria mentioned by the client or end user for each functionality, that is called user acceptance testing. Then the system testing includes different other types of testing like scalability testing, security testing, endurance testing, etc., that we have already discussed in the analysis phase. Then sixth phase is deployment. Okay, So deployment is the process of launching the first fully functional model of the product in the market. Okay, so we are going to deploy the product into the market, or we can say that we are handing over fully functional product to end user or client. Okay, so it's also known as first customer shipping. We are shipping the product to customer. So the important tasks performed during this development phase are, first one is notification of product deployment. Okay, so we should send the notification of this product deployment to all the stakeholders and to the public. If it is a commercial product, we have to send it to the public as also. So the notification can be sent out through email, media, etc. So, and we have to mention some details like deployment schedule. Okay, what is the date, time and venue of then brief description about the product, the targeted end users. If there is any extra features, we have to mention that. Then the product support information, including the support person name, contact number, contact mail ID, etc. Okay, so these things can be included in the notification mail or message. Then second one is execution of testing plan. Okay, that is the second task in deployment phase, execution of testing plan. So proper training should be given to the end user to get them acquainted with the new product. So before launching the product, conduct proper training as per the training plan developed during the earlier phases. Uh, of course, user manuals will help in understanding the product, its usage and accessing its functionalities to a certain extent. So usually training plan uses this type of user manuals. Okay, then third one is product installation. Okay, that is the third activity involved in deployment phase, that is product installation. So install the product as per the installation document to ensure that it is fully functional. That is called product installation. Last one is product post implementation review. So once the product is launched in the market, conduct a post implementation review to determine the success of the product. The ultimate aim behind post implementation review is to document the problems faced during installation and the solutions adopted to overcome them. Okay, then it also helps in understanding the customer needs and expectations of the customer on the next version of the product. So a product post implementation review has to be conducted. Now moving to the next phase, that is seventh phase, that is support phase. So the support phase deals with the operation and maintenance of the product in a production environment. Okay, so bugs means product malfunctioning or unexpected behavior or any operational error. Okay, so those bugs in the product may be observed and reported during this phase. And of course support should be provided to the end user or client to fix these bugs. The support phase ensures that the product meets the user needs and it continues functioning in the production environment. Okay, so there are mainly two activities involved in the support phase. One is set up a dedicated support wing. So the availability of certain embedded products in terms of product functioning in production environment is crucial, and they may require 24/7 support in case of product failure or malfunctioning. For example, the patient monitoring systems used in hospitals, it needs a 24/7 support. Okay, in case of product failure. Now second one is identify bugs and areas of improvement. So none of the products are bug free. We know that none of the products are bug free. Even if you take utmost care in design, development and implementation of the product, there can be bugs in it. Okay, so since the embedded product market is highly competitive, it is very essential to stay connected with the end users and know their needs for the survival of the product. So give the end user a chance to express their views on the product and suggestions, if any. Okay, and in terms of modifications, so that suggestions can be in terms of modifications or in terms of some feature enhancements. Okay, so take those or collect those feedback from the user, and also conduct product specific surveys and collect as much data as possible from the end user. So identifies the bugs and areas of improvement. For that, conduct surveys and take feedback from the user. So that is support phase. The next phase is upgrade phase. The upgrade phase of a product development deals with the development of upgrades. Upgrades, you know what is upgrades? It's we can make new versions of the product. Okay, so the product is already in the market and we are going to make new versions. That is called upgrading the product. Okay, so upgrade, it can be a result of it can be the upgradation can be done to fix a major bug or for future and feature enhancement. Okay, so mainly two reasons are there for upgradation. One is to fix the errors and second one is for feature enhancement. Okay, so we can perform the upgradation in two ways. We can upgrade the hardware, also we can upgrade the software. Okay, so for embedded products, the upgrades may be for the product resident firmware or for the hardware embedding the firmware. So some bugs may be easily fixed by modifying the firmware, and it is known as firmware upgradation. So also feature enhancements can be easily done by firmware upgradation. And uh, certain feature enhancements and bug fixes request hardware modification, and this hardware modification sometimes they are followed by some software or firmware modification also. Okay, so two type of upgradation: hardware, we can upgrade the hardware or we can upgrade the software in order to fix a major bug or for feature enhancement. And last phase is retirement and disposal. So this phase is the final phase in a product development life cycle. Okay, so in this phase the product is declared as obsolete and it is discontinued from the market. Okay, so when the disposition of a product uh, becomes essential in a product development life cycle, that is the question. Okay, so the disposition of a product is essential because of two reasons. One is rapid technology advancement, second one is increased user needs. Okay, if there is a advancement in the technology and the product needs to be modified, or the new product requirement comes in terms of rapid technology advancement, then the product is disposed from the market. Now some product may get a long lifetime in the market, beginning from the launch phase to the retirement phase. Okay, for example, Nokia 331 mobile handset. Actually, it was launched in September 2000 and discontinued in early 2005. So, more than 4 years of continued presence in the market. It got with 126 million pieces sold. Okay, so it got this Nokia 3310 handset, it got a long lifetime in the market, but some products get only small lifetime in the market. It basically depends upon the quality of the product. Okay, so these are the different phases of embedded product development life cycle. So need phase, conceptualization phase, analysis phase, design phase, then development and testing phase, deployment phase, support phase, upgrade phase, retirement phase. Okay, last one is retirement or disposal phase. So in the next video we will see the EDLC approaches in detail. Okay, thank you.